With Project Caesar / EU5 fast approaching, today I want to make a quick video discussing what I feel will be the 5 strongest nations in the game and some honorable mentions. I will be creating this list based on my previous understanding of Paradox games, how they develop countries, and my understanding of the historical situation surrounding the start date for Project Caesar 1337. Before I go into my top 5, I want to go through some honorable mentions that came close but weren't quite able to reach the top 5. These nations include Hungary, Sweden, Castile, Aragon, Vijayanagara, and Chagatai. Each of these nations in EU5 will be well situated to rise and have a lot of power, but I do not feel they reach the top 5 status. The first selection on this list may come as a bit of a technicality, but I feel that the 5th strongest nation in EU5 is actually 2 nations that will be decided on based on how the start of the game works. These nations being France and England. At the start of EU5, these nations likely start out at war or will soon be at war. Therefore, whoever wins this war will likely be the 5th strongest nation in EU5. There are other concurrent conflicts going on with these nations as well, such as England fighting in the Scottish War of Independence and France fighting Brittany. Both of these countries have pretty strong power bases at the start of EU5, with some centralization still needing to be done, but it's very easy for them to quickly mop up their regions. Therefore, whoever wins the start of the 100 Years' War, whether it be England conquering France, or France pushing out England, and maybe even conquering England itself, may lead to the domination of the whole region and all of Western Europe. 4th on my list is a nation that still needs to do some centralization, but currently is at the peak of its military power. That is the Golden Horde / the White Horde and Blue Horde. The reason why I say / is the Golden Horde was divided into 2 separate administrative units, the Blue Horde and the White Horde, until 1379. Therefore, some people argue that they are 2 separate countries in confederation, while others argue it was one large country with one central ruler. The Golden Horde, 10 years prior to the start of EU5 in 1337, in 1327 put down the Tver Uprising. This cemented, at least for the time, the Golden Horde's control over the Russian region. That being said, the Golden Horde did place Muscovy instead of Tver as the new strongest puppet state. So when playing the Golden Horde, you will certainly have to deal with a rising Russian power as well as rising powers in Persia. The 3rd strongest nation on this list, and one that won't have to contend with one of its strongest rivals in EU4, is the Mamluk Sultanate. The Mamluks look very similar to how they look in the start of EU4, meaning they can capitalize on the strength and likely conquer their whole region and maybe even unify the Arabic Empire again. With Anatolia being divided up, as well as Persia recently being split up, it gives the perfect opportunity for the Mamluks to begin to conquer the whole region. That being said, I imagine the game will add in some debuffs for the Black Death alongside the rise of the Ottomans, making it not too easy for a Mamluk player to conquer the area. Number 2 on my list is Yuan. The Yuan dynasty in 1337 has ruled over China for a significant amount of time, but the Mongol grip is beginning to loosen. The Red Turban Rebellion, and eventually the rise of the Ming, is only 10 to 20 years down the line. But currently, if a player plays 1337 Yuan, they will have full control of basically all of China and a puppet state in Korea, meaning that, at least at the start of the game, Yuan will be massive and will have a significant amount of influence. It will depend on how the player deals with disasters and is able to stop the collapse. Even if Yuan falls, the Northern Yuan dynasty, which split from Yuan, exerted a significant amount of influence over northern China and the Mongol region, and they'll still be a force to reckon with. Number 1 on this list, based on 1337, is the Delhi Sultanate. At the start of the game, the Delhi Sultanate is basically at its zenith, exerting significant amounts of influence over all of the Indian subcontinent, whether through its own control or via vassals. Based on the player taking over this area, and the fact that Black Death is now cycling through Europe, Delhi will likely be able to have a significant amount of strength compared to the European counterparts. That being said, there are rising nations in India and eventually in Persia, with the Timurids threatening to conquer and invade India. Unlike with EU4, India is mostly united and will be a significant threatening force to any nation in the world. Even though it is and was a toss-up for me, I believe because Delhi's decline will be slower than Yuan, which will dramatically fall after the Red Turban Rebellion, it should be the number 1 strongest nation in EU5 / Project Caesar. Please let me know what you guys think about the current Tinto talks and EU5 in the comments, and what you guys think are the 5 strongest nations, or will be the 5 strongest nations in EU5 / Project Caesar. Sincerely, Wonder Productions.